So, in our last class, we examined gender configurations in Africa by taking a look at patriarchy, Islam, and the veil. And then we went on to specifically look at Nnolim's essay entitled A House Divided, Feminism in African Literature, found in the book Issues in African Literature by Charles Nnolim, published in 2010. In our discussion of the essay A House Divided by Charles Nnolim, we saw how he traced the development of feminism from its Western roots to how it is practiced in Africa and the various camps of feminism in Africa which make him to have the notion that it is a house divided, meaning ideologically speaking, the feminists in Africa do not have unity, they are not united in the approaches to feminism. So the last one we looked at was the womanist and accommodationist camp, and today we want to move on and look at the accommodationist camp. So, who are the accommodationists according to Charles Nnolim? The accommodationists are those writers who are not really out to preach equality with men. These writers are not really out to preach equality with men. In other words, these women believe in the headship of the man. They believe that the man should be the head. In other words, these women believe in the headship of the man, but advocate some measure of equality. The accommodationists are those writers who are not really out to preach equality with the men. In other words, these women believe in the headship of the man, but they also advocate some measure of equality in the relationship. So, what they emphasize, what the accommodationists emphasize is partnership. What the accommodationists emphasize is partnership. That the male-female relationship should be formalized as partnership. So they stress partnership and unity with the men. They stress partnership and unity with the men. They believe in the establishment of the family under patriarchy in a mutually respectful relationship. They believe in the establishment of the family under patriarchy. So, if they believe in patriarchy, if they concede to patriarchy, that means they do not seek equality with the men. They recognize that the man should be the head, right? But that in that headship, the woman should partner with the man, which is not necessarily a hierarchical relationship, but one that is based on mutual respect for one another or for each other. Okay? So they believe in the establishment of the family under patriarchy in a mutually respectful relationship. That means the man respects the woman and the woman respects the man. Okay? So who are the accommodationists? Who are the accommodationists? The accommodationists are Ifoma Okoye, Zainab Alkali, Helen Obiagali, and Marama Ba. Okay? Then we have the reactionaries and the middle of the roaders. The reactionaries and the middle of the roaders. All these were listed before, so you can simply check your notes and write them down. The reactionaries in the middle of the roaders. The reactionaries and the middle of the roaders. The reactionaries and the middle of the roaders. So Nnolim describes this group thus. Nnolim describes the reactionaries and the middle of the roaders thus. These are writers who either prefer to stand and wait. These are writers who rather prefer to stand and wait. Or, having found their voice, prefer to use it in declaiming against the feminist tendencies of their fellow women. Or, having found their voice, prefer to use it in declaiming against the feminist tendencies of their fellow women, while at the same time singing the praises of their husbands. Nnolim describes the reactionaries and the middle of the roaders thus. These are writers who either prefer to stand and wait, or having found the voice, prefer to use it in declaiming against the feminist tendencies of their fellow women, while at the same time singing the praises of their husband. So you have the first set, who are those who prefer to stand and wait. Okay? Because they are yet to know exactly what to say about the matter. And Nnolim says that this group of feminists are Mabel Shegun and Adara Ulasi. Mabel Shegun and Adara Ulasi. Prefer to stand and wait. Because they are yet to find their voice. The reactionaries are Zulu Shokola. The reactionaries are Zulu Shokola and Rebecca Njao. Zulu Shokola and Rebecca Njao. Zulu Shokola and Rebecca Njao. They are the reactionaries because Shovala forces women to accept patriarchy, while Rebecca and Jao causes self-harm or harms her feminist heroines. She harms her heroines, that's in her work. Shovala forces women to accept patriarchy. That means in a portrayal of in the portrayal of female characters, they in the end, at the end of the work, are seen to submit to the patriarchal force in society. Okay, which is a bit defeatist. So they are forced to accept patriarchy. As if patriarchy is a force so powerful that the women could not resist. But Rebecca and Jao rather causes harm to our heroines in a novel. Let us look at the dynamics. The dynamics. Gynnandrists. Gynnandrists. According to Nnolim, Gynnandrist. Gynnandrist. So the Gynnandrists are described as male writers who are praised by feminist critics for championing the causes of women in their work. The Gynnandrists are described by Nnolim as those male writers or male critics who are praised by feminists for championing the causes of women in their work. Gynnandrists are male critics or male writers who are praised by the feminist critics for championing the causes of women in their work. So please take note of each of these categories mentioned and what they mean and what they stand for. So the Gynnandrists also give a favorable representation of women in their work. The Gynnandrists also give favorable representation of women in their work. See all those male writers that centralize women in their plots, refuse to stereotype women, they will pass as Gynnandrists. Examples of Gynnandrists are Isidore Opeo, Osman Sembe, Semben, Goge Wakyongo, and Elechi Amadi. Examples of journalists are Isidore Okwel, Osman Semben, Goge Wakyongo, and Elechi Amadi. Examples of journalists are Isidore Okwel, Osman Semben, the writer of God's Picture book. Goge Wakyongo, and Elechi. They are all male writers, but when you read their works, you see the favorable depiction of women in these works. They are all male writers, but when you read their works, you will come across the favorable depiction of women in these works. So the gender critic would be the equivalent of male gynecologist who, in the practice of medicine, see to the health and welfare of women. That is where you have the name gynecologist. So you also have the gender critics who are depicted in the mold of male doctors who see to the health of women. So the gynandrists are male critics who give a favorable depiction of women in their work. And we also have gender critics who are listed by Nnolim to include Ernest Mayonu and Femi Ojoade. Ernest Mayonu, let me write down. Ernest Mayonu and Femi Ojoade are gender critics in Nigeria. If you come across any of Ernest Mayonu's articles on feminism, you will see that he is not opposed to the favorable conditions of women. And if it is possible, one of the groups might examine one of his essays on the matter. Then you have Nnolim says that Flora Mapa is Africa's pioneer pioneer female writer. Laura Wakpa is Africa's pioneer female writer who presented a different image of the woman compared to the one presented by dominant male writers. Laura Wakpa. So you need to remember that Nigeria is a great country, and Nigerians have led the way in so many areas in Africa, including literature and criticism. So the first female writer in Africa is from Nigeria. This is the first Nobel laureate in Africa is from Nigeria. So you need to understand, Nigeria is leading and has always led the way in the continent, or on the continent. Laura Wakpa is Africa's pioneer female writer who presented a different image of the woman compared to the one presented by male writers. This is the beginning point, the starting point of gender criticism in African literature. The understanding of the differences between how dominant male writers depicted women and how that depiction is countered by female writers when they started writing. So Laura wrote mostly to debunk Achebe and Ekwensi's depiction of women. Laura wrote mostly to do what? To debunk Achebe and Cyprian Ekwensi's depiction of women. That's what Nnolim says. For instance, if you read Ekwensi's works like Jaguanana's daughter, you will see that you see the stereotypical depiction of women in those works. And if you read Achebe's Things Fall Apart, you will also see how women are depicted. And so when a female writer, like Laura Wakpa, started writing, she had the role of doing what? Giving a different image of the woman as depicted compared to the one depicted by male writers. So these male writers have presented women as prostitutes, concubines, helpless dependents, brutalized and disparaged in society in their works. These male writers have given stereotypical depiction of women in their works, depicting women as weak, mindless, talkative, dependent on the man, powerless, concubine, prostitutes, constantly at the mercy of the man, and so on and so forth. Nnolim describes Wakpa's foray into gender criticism as tentative and faltering. Foray, that is when you go into something for the first time. Foray. As tentative and what? And faltering. Nnolim describes Wakpa's foray into gender criticism as what? Tentative and faltering. Tentative.
Not certain.
Not sure. This is because in a furu and idu, I hope these works are listed in the course online. In a furu and idu, one women are superheroines, but are trapped by their desires. Childbearing only be granted under patriarchy. You want to marry, you have to marry a man. And if you are marrying a man, then you marry into patriarchy, which is the traditional system. And the same thing with childbearing. These heroines are barren and are often child hungry. So how can you not want a man but you want marriage? You don't want a man but you want children. How is that supposed to be resolved? Okay? These heroines are barren, often child hungry. That's Nnolim's word. So you get to read the main article, you just be laughing because of how Nnolim attacks female critics in Africa and Nigeria. The heroines are depicted as barren and are often child hungry. They don't have children, but they have children. And how is children going to come? Was the process. The men are depicted as debased, poor, irresponsible, and improvident. Power class men are depicted as what? Debased, poor, irresponsible, and improvident. Debased. Right? Poor, responsible, and improvident. Of course, that's supposed to allow the woman to shine because most of our heroines are hardworking and rich, but they have the problem of being with the wrong men. Okay? Of course, that is also given in terms of how she represents women, men in the novel. So the men are seen to be thoughtless, they lack foresight, that's why they're improvident. But the woman is a superhero, okay? Which is a faulty depiction because she is also committing the same crime that the dominant male writers committed, the depiction of women. So two wrongs cannot make a right. Okay? That is the problem. So the woman is good in this novel, but the guy, the men are bad. Okay? So, Nnolim quotes from One Is Enough. The following statement: a woman's ambition was marriage, a home that she would call her own, a man she could love and cherish, and children to crown the marriage. That will be all that the woman wants. Woman's ambition was marriage. This is from One Is Enough. by Clara Nwakpa. So if you find the novel, you read it. A woman's ambition was marriage, a home that she could call her own, a man she could love and cherish, and children to crown the marriage. That was all that the woman needed to be happy. A woman's ambition was marriage, a home that she could call her own, a man she could love and cherish, and children to crown the marriage. But it would appear that this idealism or this ideal desire, this desire of the women remain ideal or far-fetched ideals because of the deficiency in the characterization of men in the world. And also partly due to the deficiencies of the female characters, who are mostly depicted as doing well but barren and always child hungry. Always being stuck with irresponsible men. So how can they fulfill it? Alright? So Nnolim sums up what past feminism does. Nnolim sums up what past feminism does. She allows complete separation of male and female as she encourages rebellious, separatist, independent tendencies in her heroines. And in a lack of commitment to the survival and unity of men and women brought together in marriage. So, Nwakpa's feminism is problematic on those counts, as far as Charles Nnolim is concerned. She allows complete separation of male and female, as in her words, as she encourages rebellious, separatist, independent tendencies in her heroines, and in a lack of commitment to the survival and unity of men and women brought together in marriage. I'll take that again. It's important that you write that down. Okay? Good. She allows complete separation of male and female, as she encourages rebellious, separatist, and independent tendencies in her heroines, and in a lack of commitment to the survival and unity of men and women brought together in marriage. She allows complete separation of male and female, as she encourages rebellious, separatist, independent tendencies in her heroines, and a lack of commitment to the survival and unity of men and women brought together in marriage. Unquote. So that is the problem of Flora Nwakpa's feminism, as far as Charles Nnolim is concerned. Nnolim explains how Nwakpa's humanism does. Nnolim explains what Flora Nwakpa's humanism does. Her humanism then consists in her denying her heroines complete emotional independence from their men, in her unquestioning apportionment of culpability of infertility to most of our heroines, forcing them to consult various medicine men for cure, or leaving their marital home in frustration. But it's understood that in not all cases of infertility are from the woman, right? But in Bonhoeffer's case, um, this is not balanced up. Her womanism then consists in her denying her heroines complete emotional independence from their men, in an unquestioning apportionment of culpability for infertility to most of the heroines, forcing them to consult various medicine men for cure or leaving the marital home in frustration. That is her womanism, which is again is problematic for Charles Nnolim. And then he also talks about Buchi Emecheta's feminism. Also talks about Buchi Emecheta's feminism. One of Buchi Emecheta's works that we'll read is The Joys of Motherhood. It's on the course outline, so you should start reading as well. According to Charles Nnolim, Emecheta throws all ladylike decorum to the winds and carries personal grudge to the point of nausea. That means our work is vindictive. Our works are vindictive against men. You could almost see the underlying bitterness, personal bitterness being brought into our hearts against the men who have made her, have hurt her in life. Okay? That's what Nnolim is trying to say here. She throws all ladylike decorum to the winds and carries personal grudges to the point of nausea. That means the bitter experiences she had in our relationship are what imprisoned the vision of characterization of men in our work. So you could see how she depicts men, how the epithets she uses to describe men in work, in our work, especially second-class citizen, how she describes Francis. Francis is a nobody in that world. There's no name that Francis has not been called in that novel. Okay? If you read second-class citizen. In fact, Francis is not a man at all. Okay? Because of what the husband did to her. Okay, so no man is spared in our world. No male character is spared. So the grudge is that the husband burns a manuscript. Okay? Her first baby, so to speak. Okay? If you look at my analysis of second-class citizens online, you'll see that the work is mostly autobiographical. The name of the husband is there, but she changes it and uses Francis, right? Her manuscript was actually burnt by a man who was not enlightened, okay? And now she feels that all men must bear the stand of her irresponsible husband. Nnolim practically presents which a major task feminism theme subject matter does. So there should be a point where personal bitterness stops and where art begins. Right? The point where personal grudges and bitterness ends and where literature starts. Nnolim practically presents Buchi Emecheta's feminism themes subject matter does. Wicked men have kept forlorn women in the ditch. That means Nnolim is being creative here by using her titles, that's what our work, to formulate our feminist ideology. So I want you to take this down. It's very beautiful. It's what I saw when I read that essay and I took it down. It's very creative the way Nnolim puts it here, right? Nnolim practically presents which a Mechatas feminism does. Quote, wicked men have kept fallen women in the ditch. As the ditch was published in 1972. The ditch, in the ditch, the right like this, in the ditch. 1972. Semicolon. Made her a second-class citizen. 1974. A woman whose worth is measured by the bride price. 1976. Or just merely the slave girl. 1977. Ironically experiencing the joys of motherhood. 1979. And made to bear the double yoke, 1981, unquote, right? Okay, so we take that again. Wicked men have kept fallen women in the ditch, 1972, semicolon. Made her a second-class citizen, 1974, semicolon. A woman whose worth is measured by the bride price. The bride price was published in 1976. Or just merely the slave girl, which was published 1977. Slave Girl was published 1977. Ironically, Experiencing the Joys of Motherhood, published in 1979. The Joys of Motherhood was published in 1979. And Made to Bear the Double Yoke. The Double Yoke was published in 1981. Is everything right now? Wicked men have kept fallen women in the ditch, 1972. Made her a second-class citizen, 1974. Woman whose worth is measured by the bride price, 1976. Or just merely the slave girl, 1977. Ironically expressing the joys of motherhood, 1979. And Made to Bear the Double Yoke, 1981. Wicked men have kept fallen women in the ditch, 1972. Made her a second-class citizen, 1974. Woman whose worth is measured by the bride price, 1976. Or just merely the slave girl, 1977. Ironically experiencing the joys of motherhood, 1979. And Made to Bear the Double Yoke, 1981. In our works, Mecheta bashes men, but there is still confusion in ideologies. There's still confusion in ideologies. There's still confusion in ideologies. Madam says that only Ada in second class is allowed to be a successful woman and rise above her oppression. Nnolim says that only Ada, A-D-A-H, as the central character in second-class citizen is allowed to be a successful woman and rise above her oppression. Emecheta's other heroines succumb to patriarchy and its rule. Apart from Ada, Emecheta's other heroines succumb to patriarchy and its wiles. So the woman loses in Emecheta's work, whether she conforms or rebels. The woman is the one to lose in Emecheta's feminism, whether she conforms to patriarchy or rebels against patriarchy. The man loses. So why is Nnolim saying all this? He's saying this too because she has, first of all, described the ideologies of African feminists as genus-faced. Genus-faced, meaning having two sharply contrasting aspects or characters, confused. This is why it's a house divided. In Joys of Motherhood, please take note so that it will guide you when you are reading the novel. Remember, there's no ideological imposition here. When you're reading the novel, you can come away with your own ideas, what you think, but this is, of course, what Nnolim believes. All right? In Joys of Motherhood, motherhood does not bring no ego, lasting happiness. No ego is the central character, the heroine in the novel. No ego. In Joys of Motherhood, motherhood does not bring no ego, lasting happiness. Because, according to her, if you don't have children, the luring of them will kill you. And if you do, the worrying over them will kill you. So in the novel, it says that after all the children that she suffered to have, she's not realized any benefits from them. In fact, there's a son of his that travels abroad and doesn't care about her. In the end, she finds herself suffering in the streets as if she never had a child before. So that's why this is what prompts the statement from her. Motherhood does not bring lasting, and maybe at that moment where you have a child, maybe to just prove to your fellow women that you have a child, okay? After that, it may not bring lasting happiness. That's according to our feminism that Nnolim interprets, because it is from the realities of in our novel that Nnolim brings out our feminism. Okay? No ego does not have lasting happiness through motherhood. Because according to her, if you don't have children, the longing for them will kill you, and if you do, the worrying over them will kill you. Nnolim says that Buchi and Mecheta insist on recrimination and acrimony, not reconciliation. We should form the ending of any well-made gender novel. If you are truly committed to bring the two genders together, the way your plot ends will determine your ideology. So that's why Nnolim says that Nnolim, Mecheta in her feminism insists on what? Recriminations and acrimony. Most of these women feel that as if they are aggrieved, They have something against men. Okay? Like they will never agree with men. Okay? Because after all, the men are not living up to expectations. So insist on recriminations and acrimony, not reconciliation. It should be what the plot should be about. Then she insists on divorce, not unity, hatred, not love. That's what Nnolim is saying. Okay? Uche Mecheta insists on recrimination and acrimony, not reconciliation. Divorce, not unity. Hatred, not love. So that, according to Nnolim, is the Mecheta's feminism. So when you be doing your essay, you want to see whether you agree with that, whether it is true, or whether you find something in the novel to counter what Nnolim has said. After all, in literature, we can't impose ideas on people. You only have to look into the text and see the realities that are evidential, and then we present it based on what we believe. But this is what Nnolim says. If you can counter it, fine. But until then, that's what he has said. That for Buche Micheta, she insists on what? Recrimination and acrimony, not reconciliation. Divorce, not unity. For instance, at the end of second class citizens, Adam divorces Francis. Okay, cannot stay together. And we don't know whether she's going to live, going to marry that man at the novel ends. Okay? Divorce, not unity, hatred, not love. And again, this appears to be bad feminism. Because the good feminism is one that would emphasize the partnership, the unity of the two genders. Right? Good. So let's move on to Mariam Abba. What does Nnolim have to say about Mariam Abba? What does Nnolim have to say about Mariam Abba? Abba is one of the important feminists in Africa, alongside people like Bessie Head. Have you ever heard of Bessie Head? Okay. Important feminist in Africa. Nnolim describes Mariam Abba as a womanist at heart, but a feminist in ideology. Another confusion there. Okay? How divided. This one is a body divided. Right? According to Nnolim. The womanist at heart, but a feminist in ideology. Nnolim describes Mariam Abba as what? A womanist at heart, but a feminist in what? Ideology. Because our feminism is marked by ambivalence. Our feminist vision is marked by what? Ambivalence. Marked by ambivalence. Okay. Ambivalence. In post-colonial studies, ambivalence is a love-hate relationship that exists between the oppressor and the oppressed, between the colonial masters and the colonial subjects, between leaders and their followers. Love-hate relationship, right? Love-hate. That's ambivalence. Okay? So the same leaders that are making fuel prices to reach 1,000, when the past you will call them cheche, right? Because they're looking for some naira notes. So after that, you say these leaders are bad, they are like miserable. Okay? So that love-hate relationship in post-colonial studies, okay, understood as ambivalence, and it also plays out in gender studies in terms of how women view men. they hate and love men at the same time, right? All right, so they hate men, but they cannot do without men. Okay? Such is life. So, about feminism, or feminist vision, is marked by ambivalence. Ramabad believes through Ramatulaya, there's a central character in So Long Later. Ramabad believes through Ramatulaya. This is how you spell Ramatulaya. Ramatulaya. Okay? In any case, you need to start reading your So Long Later. Okay? There's the next book that we'll consider after now, according to the course online. You get a copy, start reading. So Ramabad believes through Ramatulaya fall, her husband is Moses fall. So this is the surname of the husband, Ramatulaya fall. In complementarity. You ever come across that term in feminism before? Complementarity. She believes in complementarity. In complementarity. Complementarity. That the woman is made to complement the man. That the marriage is supposed to be partnership, where one gender completes the other. We work together. Right? So Mahamabad believes through Ramatulaya 4 in complementarity between the sexes, between the gender. You don't use the sexes again, you use the gender. At the same time, she is vengeful. At the same time, she is vengeful. At the same time, she is what? Vengeful. So Nnolim labels So Long a Later as an anti-polygamy tract. It's an anti-polygamy tract. Because you see, if you believe in patriarchy, especially African patriarchy is rooted in polygamy, right? African patriarchy is rooted in polygamy. Okay? But the character of Ramatullah is such that she does not admit Aisatu, of course, does not believe in polygamy, even though she is in a Muslim community. But Ramatullah condones polygamy, as stipulated by not only the tradition but also the religion, Muslim religion, right? So Nnolim describes So Long a Later as an anti-polygamy tract, which does not succeed in a Muslim culture, because the Muslim culture is patriarchal and allows polygamy. Okay? So the fact that the African man combines patriarchy with Christianity makes it difficult for marriages in Africa to work. Which is why we have the phenomenon of side chicks, because the polygamy is taken away. And so since the polygamy is taken away, then the side chick, the secret concubines must be there. Since polygamy is built into the African mind straight. If it were not, then we would not have the phenomenon of side chicks, of which some women have accepted, to the extent of some saying, if the woman is not actually brought into the house to confront her, then it is fine. Okay? So, Nnolim says that Mahama paints Modufo and Maduba as devils incarnate. Those are the two important male characters in So Long a Letter, Modufo and Maduba. How does he depict them? Depict them as devils. Okay? Depict them as devils incarnate. So, it would appear that there is something personal that these female gender critics have against men in their work. That's usually seen through the characterization of men in this work. Okay? She paints Modufo and Maduba, two important male characters in So Long a Letter as well. Devils incarnate. Okay? Bad guys. Okay? For instance, when Modufo dies, the revelations that are made about him destroys his characterization completely. Secret marriage to Binatu, the betrayal of the labor union, the deaths, the abandonment of Ramatulaye, and so on and so forth. And for Aishatu's case, Maduba is forced by his mother to marry a younger girl with royal blood. But it's in that case that you see how women also subscribe to patriarchy, and really traditional women. Okay, we'll talk more about that. We want to look at the novel. Let's move on to Tess Oweme. Tess Oweme's feminism is also scrutinized by Charles Nnolim in this essay. Tess Oweme's feminism is also scrutinized in this novel by Charles. In this essay by Charles. Yes. Have I come across that before? Tess Oweme, according to Nnolim, creates impetuous, rebellious teenage women who are uncertain whether they are Tess Oweme, according to Charles Nnolim, creates impetuous, rebellious teenage women who are uncertain of who they are and who are as guilty as hell. He lists two of our works: A Hen Too Soon, A Hen Too Soon, and Broken Calabash, the Broken Calabash, the Broken Calabash, the Broken Calabash, the Broken Calabash. That these works are characterized by incest and scandal, which are not worthy of emulation in an African society. These works are characterized by what? Incest and scandal, which are not worthy of emulation in African society. A hen too soon and the broken calabash are characterized by incest and scandal, which are not worthy of emulation in African society. Apart from this, the guilty characters go unpunished in this work, which provides the wrong example. Apart from this, the guilty characters go unpunished in this work, which does not provide the right example. Nnolim describes Onweme's feminism as unprincipled, which is capable of destroying society. So when you read Onweme's work, you will decide whether to toe this line or whether you have something different to say. Nnolim describes Onweme's feminism as unprincipled, which is capable of destroying the fabric of the society, African society. Nnolim describes post-Onweme gender critics as anticlimax. Post-Onweme gender critics, that's those critics who come after Onweme, as anticlimax. Describe that feminism as anticlimactic because they hold out the olive branch and invite the men in. That these critics understand the importance of men in gender relations. And it's like, we don't want to fight again. We want peace. We don't want war. Okay? Whereas the other ones were saying, I don't want peace. I want war always. Right? The other one was saying, I don't want peace. I want war always. Okay? And so, the post-women gender critics have understood the importance of men in gender relations. They don't want to fight anymore. They want to work with the men. They need men. And they want peace. So they hold out the olive branch and invite the men in. So these are the accommodationists. These are the accommodations. They accommodate men. They don't want problem. They don't want trouble. So Nnolim says accommodationist the part of the accommodationist as the only path to take. After examining everything, he sees the path of the accommodationist as the only path to take. The only sensible ideological solution to the feminist imbroglio. The only sensible sensible ideological solution to the feminist inbreak rules? The feminist inbreak. Nnolim says the accommodationist path as the only path to take, the only sensible ideological solution to the feminist inbreak. When you're doing your own essay, you decide whether Nnolim is correct or not. Okay? Then you have the reactionaries and the fence sitters. The reactionaries and the fence sitters. The reactionary and the fence sitters. The reactionaries and the fence sitters. Nnolim lists them to include Zulu Shofola, Catherine Ocholonu, Mabel Shogun, Darrell Lassie, and Rebecca Njau. He lists the reactionaries and the fence sitters as Zulu Shofola, Catherine Ocholonu, Mabel Shogun, Darrell Lassie, and Rebecca Njau. So this has been the sum of Nnolim's essay, A House Divided, Feminism in African Literature. And the next time we meet, we'll look at Mariam Abbas Solom's a letter. Before we now move on to look at Yera Matulaye by Ndebesu Monakwe, for now, let us end the class. Good morning.